Welcome to Active Boards in 2.
This podcast will continue the demonstration of how to add basic content to a flipchart. This is the second of 3 podcasts in this series. This time we focus on the shapes and select tools. Let's continue building our welcome page. Just to review, here is the welcome page that we are going to create. In the last podcast, we added all of the content that had to do with the pen and the highlighter. This podcast covers the Shapes tool, the next podcast covers the Text tool, and both of these cover the Select tool. This is what our page looked like where we last left off. To build the schoolhouse, I'm going to select the Shapes tool, pick the perfect square. On the color palette in the Shapes toolbar, I will pick the fill color. The shape's line color and size are determined by the color palette in the main toolbox. Click and hold on your screen and drag diagonally to stretch out the shape. That's not exactly where I wanted it, so I'm going to choose the Select tool from the main toolbox and click and drag it to the location where I want it. To continue building the schoolhouse, I'm going to go back to the Shapes tool, the perfect square, choose the fill, check the line, and add a square to the top of my schoolhouse. Once again, I go back to the Select tool, click and drag the square so it's right where I want it on top of the box. Finally, back in the Shapes, I'm going to choose a triangle this time and add it to the top of the schoolhouse. A helpful tip is to return to the main toolbox and switch tools. In this case, I'm going to change to the Select tool to turn the shapes off and be able to resize or move a shape. I want to change the shape of my schoolhouse, so I'm going to click on this square and drag out the resize bubbles, like so. To add some details to the schoolhouse, I'm going to go back to the Shapes menu. Choose the rectangle this time with a white fill. I'm going to create a door by clicking and holding where I want the upper left-hand corner of the door to start and dragging diagonally out. Without switching tools or preferences, I'm going to do the same for a window right next to the door. I want to introduce you to the marquee handles. I'm going to switch to the Select tool. Click on the square that represents the window. Click and hold the X to move an object. Click and rotate the arc to rotate an object. This is the right-click menu. You can also access it by right-clicking an object. Click and slide the translucency indicator to the left to change the translucency of an object. This will group objects when you have multiples selected. Move selected objects forwards or backwards with these icons. Duplicate the selected object by clicking here. Increase or decrease the size of the selected object with these buttons. Click here to change the features of the shape. The last icon in the marquee handles changes based on the object you have selected. To make a new window, I'm going to click Duplicate and move it to the location where I want it. Now, using the horizontal line in the Shapes menu and the pen, I'm going to add some more detail to my welcome page. After completing the finishing touches on my sidewalk, I will be ready to add some text to my welcome screen. Adding text will be covered in the next podcast.
This has been Active Boards in 2. I'm Mike Martindale.